Now at 5, details of today's fire that destroyed one area home and threatened another. Plus, details of a $7.5 million school bond proposal in Galena, and
Russian President Vladimir Putin agrees to more negotiations during a high-stakes call with President Trump. I'm Erica Brown at the White House with more on the push for a peace deal in Ukraine and a rare rebuke from the U.S. Chief Justice.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Local authorities have requested a special agent to investigate the fire that destroyed a Columbus house today. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. The home on Parmenter Avenue in Columbus was engulfed in flames when fire crews arrived around 3:40 this morning. Fire's glow was seen from blocks away. Crews immediately focused on saving the neighboring home as intense winds pushed the fire into it. This image was taken from just outside that neighboring house from the porch. The house where the fire began is destroyed, but the neighbor's house was saved, and thankfully no one was hurt.
It turns out it was actually an officer named Officer Hampton. She saved our lives. She went through literal flames to get us to get to the door and start knocking on it. I was the first one to get around. I got to the door, saw the fire, and ran back to notify my family, and we left through the back door, so yeah.
Neighbors say the home that burned had just sold. Columbus Fire and Rescue expressed thanks to all the agencies that assisted. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy now for a first look at the weather.
Well, of course, very warm, very windy for us once again today. We've had gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour at times. Very warm temperatures, near 80 across the region. We've had partly cloudy skies. We stay warm. We stay very windy through the evening hours, 70s, 60s. By morning, we only bottom out near 60 degrees. But look at these warm temperatures, 78, 79, 80, 81 degrees across the region. Very strong southerly winds, sustained 25, upwards to about 30 miles per hour. Then you look at the gusts over the past few hours, 40, 45, 50 miles per hour. And these winds are going to stay super strong tonight. In fact, they may pick up a little bit through the overnight hours, and it stays super windy on a Wednesday as well. We're going to look at all that here in just a bit.
See you soon. The Galena School District hopes to make some improvements to their schools with a $7.5 million issue on next month's ballot. The funds would go toward numerous projects, including upgrading Liberty Elementary. If passed, the elementary would get an updated elevator replacement, a covered walkway along the east side of the high school, and HVAC replacement. They'd fix their roof and improve the gym. Funding would also go toward new early childhood spaces at Spring Grove, and the Gene Russell building would be remodeled for new special education spaces. These upgrades would not increase the mill levy.
The gym, the students go there in the mornings before school starts. Then if the weather is bad, they're in there for recess. The flooring is very uneven. There's mold on the walls. The bleachers definitely need improvement.
The deadline to register to vote in Kansas is midnight tonight. You can still register online. Long delayed Starliner astronauts Barry Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams and 2 space station crewmates just splashed down just minutes ago off the Florida Gulf Coast. You see the live image there. Wilmore and Williams spent more than 286 days in space. It was on a mission that was originally expected to last about 8 days. President Trump spent the morning trying to get Russia to agree to a peace deal while also calling for a judge who ruled against him impeached. Erica Brown has more details from the White House.
Ukrainian soldiers evacuated civilians from parts of eastern Ukraine as Russian forces gain ground in the Donetsk region.
I've got to get the deal signed. 2,000 people a week sometimes are killed, and we have to get that agreement signed, but that's the only thing I think about.
President Trump spent more than 2 hours on the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin Tuesday, pushing him to accept a ceasefire. The Kremlin said Russia agreed to a prisoner exchange, swapping 175 Ukrainian soldiers for an equal number of their own, while the White House says Putin agreed to a 30-day ceasefire on energy and infrastructure targets.
The fact that a nuclear power plant is a contested object in a war that involves live ammunition being fired and explosives is extremely concerning.
In addition to the call with Putin, Trump spent part of the day railing against a federal judge who ordered the administration to stop deportation flights carried out using the Wartime Alien Enemies Act. The president said he was doing what Americans elected him to do and said this judge, like many of the crooked judges I'm forced to appear before, should be impeached. That drew a swift rebuke from U.S. Chief Justice John Roberts, who issued a rare statement saying impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Still ahead, the growing interest in vocational education.
There's a shortage of skilled workers in the trades. I'm Cristian Benavides in Sarasota, Florida, with how some high schools are preparing a new generation for this type of work.
But first, new hope for babies with a genetic bone condition. That's next. Topping today's Health Watch, the Inspire Health Foundation Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas and Greenbush are offering a medical spring break camp. It's underway today, ends March 20th at the John Parolo Education Center on Pittsburgh North Campus. Camp sessions are tailored by age. Kindergarten, second grade was today, third, fifth grade tomorrow, 6th through 8th grade on March 20th, running from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Our goal is to really inspire kids and spark an interest in healthcare careers, because especially in rural communities, we're facing a huge shortage of healthcare providers, doctors and nurses. So if we can encourage kids and help them believe in themselves and see themselves in their local healthcare system, that's a win for us.
Students will engage in hands-on activities and experiments to explore the inner workings of the human body and learn about health career paths. About 1 in 10 people think they have long COVID, but aren't quite sure. A study in England by the University of Southampton found stigma and self-doubt leads some who believe they have the condition to not get checked out. Symptoms of long COVID include fatigue, shortness of breath, brain fog, and heart palpitations. Babies born with heart defects are at a greater risk for cancer. The American Heart Association says congenital heart defects, which affect about 1% of babies, are linked to a 66% greater chance of eventually developing cancer. In addition, mothers who gave birth to newborns with congenital heart defects were 17% more likely to be diagnosed with cancer. There's new hope for babies born with a genetic bone condition that's often fatal. Stephanie Stahl has more on the new research.
Vienna Kelly is relieved to be rolling into Nemours Children's Hospital with her 1-year-old baby named Koa.
I walk in here every time not worried about his care.
Koa has osteogenesis imperfecta. OI is a rare life-threatening brittle bone condition.
But it can also increase the risk of fractures in the vertebral bodies of the spine.
Dr. Ricky Carroll says OI is usually diagnosed before a baby is born, and parents are often given a devastating choice.
And their options were either to terminate the pregnancy or to focus on comfort when they were born until they died.
Almost every doctor I saw just gave me the same answer, to get rid of him, that he wouldn't live.
Koa defied the odds, and his mom quickly had him transferred to Nemours that specializes in treating the condition.
It was like taking a breath of fresh air.
And now a small new study from Nemours says fatal OI is difficult to accurately diagnose before a baby is born, and that with the right kind of care, it's not always deadly.
Many of these babies did survive, and not just survive, they are thriving. They're doing phenomenally.
Dr. Carroll says with bone strengthening medications and specialized equipment, babies like Koa can improve.
We do everything. Koa goes to museums, we go to the zoo, we go to Mommy and Me classes.
His fragile condition is challenging, but Mom says it's worth everything to her.
That's my heart outside of my body. That's my soul outside of my body. He teaches me every day how to be strong.
Learning life lessons from her little fighter. Stephanie Stahl, CBS News, Philadelphia.
That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, tax season in full swing. What you should know as the deadline's fast approaching.
Plus, the winds are going to stick around. Our temperatures cooling down. We're going to look at that. Well, of course, very warm, very windy once again for us today. Temperatures right around 80. degrees, but the winds gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour at times, and those winds are going to stay strong as we go through the rest of the evening hours. And of course, with the humidity not very high, that's why we have somewhat of a fire danger across the region. Fire weather warning in effect for us again through the evening hours tomorrow. We go into a wind advisory as it stays very windy across the region. Look at these southerly winds. So they're kicking in sustained 25 upwards to about 30 miles per hour. Then you look at the gusts over the past few hours, 40, 45, we pushed 50 at times, and those are going to stay very strong as we go through the evening hours. Let's go through time. Winds gusting 40 to 50 all night long, so very windy for us tonight. They switch out of the west as we go into tomorrow. They may come down 5 or 10 miles per hour, but still gusts 40 to about 45. Finally, by Thursday morning, gusts kind of 20 to about 25, and then they calm down near calm once we get into Thursday evening. Look at the temps, 75, 80, 81, 82 degrees across the region. Looks great. Currently outside sitting at 79, south winds at 30, gust of 45, and our humidity is only at 31%, so that's why we've had the fire issues over the past couple days. Through the evening, 70s, 60s. We won't really drop below 60 until very early tomorrow morning. We have some mid, some upper level clouds kind of streaming through. Not a big deal, but here's our storm system brewing out across the central parts of the Rockies, and this big upper level low is what is causing all that wind as it tracks right across northern Kansas, eventually into northern parts of Missouri later on in the overnight hours for us tonight and into Wednesday. So by midnight or 1, look at our temps, still upper 60s. As we get into the morning hours, we start into the 50s, clouds increase. We drop into the 40s by early afternoon. You can see a few showers starting to pick up. Light showers rotating in by mid-afternoon. At this point in time, we're down into lower 40s. As we continue through the evening hours, rain switching over to a little bit of wet snow, but temperatures are going to be into the upper 30s, so this isn't a big deal, but we'll most likely get some bands of snow out there, especially southwestern Missouri. So here's 9:30 p.m. Temperatures continuing to drop through the 30s, eventually near freezing by Thursday morning, and then partly sunny skies, mid-50s for highs as we get into Thursday afternoon. So snowfall potential, we may get a little bit on the grass, but very minor accumulations, not a big deal as we go into Wednesday evening. 59 in the morning, going the wrong direction, 50 by noon, 42 by 4. So we'll go for a morning high of about 60 degrees. And then as we get into Friday, a little system passes to our north. Well, look at this. We rebound right back up into the 60s for afternoon highs. 58 in the morning on Wednesday, 55 on Thursday, back to 65 on Friday. Saturday looks great, near 70. Morning thunderstorms Sunday, 60s and 70s all the way through next week. So minus a couple chilly days, a little bit of snow. It looks pretty good.
Yesterday you promised no more than 3 flakes of snow.
We may get 4 or 5, yeah.
All right, we'll be counting. We'll see. Thanks, Doug. Ahead, more teens are interested in vocational classes, but does it actually pay off? That's coming up in Consumer Watch. Topping today's Consumer Watch, a reminder there's less than a month until taxes are due. Most Americans have until April 15th to file their 2024 tax returns, pay any taxes owed, or request an extension. According to the IRS, 61.4 million tax returns have been received, and more than 60.7 million have already been processed. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger told CBS Mornings if you receive a big refund, consider making changes so that doesn't happen again next year. Apparently we're having some audio difficulties. We can tell you that Schlesinger says it's a good idea to file as soon as possible, even if you owe money. Last month, the Trump administration laid off about 7,000 IRS employees. Filing electronically and using direct deposit can help avoid any delays. The average refund is nearly $3,300. That's up slightly from last year. The cost of building a new home could jump more than $9,000 due to President Trump's trade war. That's according to a new estimate from the National Association of Home Builders. The group's March survey pointed to elevated costs of materials due to tariffs as well as labor and lot shortages. Consumer spending rose a modest 0.2% in February. That's according to the latest federal data, stoking fears that the economy could be slowing down. Comes a week after a University of Michigan survey found that consumer confidence has hit a 2-year low. An interest in skilled trades is rising among teenagers, and there's a job market waiting to welcome them. Christian Benavides takes us to one Florida high school bringing back vocational classes.
Students at Riverview High School's Construction Academy in Sarasota are nailing it. For many, including 17-year-old Allison Newcomb, this hands-on experience may lead straight to a career rather than college.
You know that you definitely want to work in the trades.
Yes, most definitely. College, it puts a damper on things for some kids. Like my sister, she's struggling paying for her tuition.
Between 2003 and 2023, the average annual cost for tuition and fees at a public four-year college shot up 141%. That rise, coupled with a labor shortage, led to the creation of this in-demand vocational program.
There's the opportunities for those that don't want to go to college to go right into apprenticeship programs, earn a living, learn a trade, and be able to have a successful career.
Teacher Jeff Lapandera also runs his own cabinetry business.
How hard is it to find qualified people out there?
As an employer, it's very difficult.
The Associated Builders and Contractors Trade Group is forecasting a shortage of about 500,000 construction workers this year. Southwest Florida builder Neil Communities found it so difficult to hire workers, the company has donated more than $60,000 to the academy.
We're seeing the older generation, in their 60s and their 70s starting to retire, and we're seeing them having issues hiring entry-level workers as well as continue the management pipeline.
While studies show higher earnings for college graduates, an industry survey found more than 80% of those working in construction are making yearly salaries above $65,000. 18-year-old Landon Hissung says he's ready to get to work right after graduation.
My dad just got done paying off his college debt, and that's one thing I don't want to get into. So I just want to start making money.
Here Hissung's learning the skills to forge his own path. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Sarasota, Florida.
Also contributing to worker shortages in places like Florida and California, hurricanes and natural disasters and immigration crackdowns. A final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News, care to bet on a major threat to college sports? We're going to hear from the president of the NCAA as March Madness tips off. Then on KOAM News at 6, results of a new health inspection at Cecil Floyd Elementary in Joplin. And the Pitt State women's basketball team moves to the Elite Eight. We're going to have a preview of their matchup. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Spring wildflowers will bloom soon, and the Missouri Department of Conservation wants to help you recognize and appreciate some of the beauty that will surround us. The Shoal Creek Conservation Education Center today hosted its Colors of Spring program. Participants got a chance to make watercolor prints of native wildflowers. They also learned about some of the common flowers in Southwest Missouri and how they benefit the environment.
We are going to watercolor some beautiful flowers, and we're also going to talk about our native wildflowers and how they're so beneficial for our wildlife and our pollinators. And it's a really great way to kind of introduce people to some of the things they can find blooming outside.
You can stay informed about upcoming programs at the Shoal Creek Center by signing up for text alerts and email bulletins. You'll find information on how to do that on our website, koamnewsnow.com. We're going to have some pretty nice weather to get out and enjoy the wildlife. And
yeah, overall the next 10 days look pretty good. Now we are going to cool down tomorrow. We'll start near 60, drop into the 30s during the evening. Rain showers picking up, mixing with snow tomorrow evening.
But no more than 5 flakes.
Could be a few more.
Maybe 6 or 7 flakes. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. Of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. Let's make it a great evening.